Welcome back to the stock portfolio update videos. Currently, my two stock portfolios sit at a combined value of over $75,690. That's made up of the $45,690 in my US stake portfolio and the $30,000 in my Vanguard portfolio. Quickly going through and giving a bit of an update on how my positions are looking, you can see the market's had a bit of a rough downturn recently. If we look at VOO, which is my biggest holding across both portfolios and sits at around just under 15,000 USD in total equity, it's had a rough week, down over 3.56% as the market's traded down. Even if you look at the last month, it's pretty flat, but it had previously been going strong before this recent downturn, which I'll cover a bit more in why the market is down. Going through the rest of my holdings, I don't know if I covered it previously, but I sold out of my McDonald's position and I locked in some gains, and I did invest that money into VOO just so I could track the S&P 500, but it would have been nice to obviously wait a bit with that money and buy in now when prices were a bit cheaper, but that's just life. Going through the rest of my positions, you can see Microsoft is still my biggest individual stock holding at $5,000, nearly $500 in equity, and it's also had a little bit of a rough month, down 1.77%, and even in the last 6 months is still down 1.8%. Whilst the stock is still up 20% this year, it really rode that AI bubble and then has popped down and has traded down, but I still hold my whole position. And I guess if you are a firm believer in Microsoft, potentially this is a good time for you to buy in. But if the prices do come back under that $400, it's definitely something that I'll look at potentially putting money into. The rest, next is Apple. Apple is one of my biggest holdings as well, and it's had a strong year, but the most of that has come from the last 6 months. Even if you look at the last graph, the last 6 months, Apple has been like a rocket. It traded down a lot with fears over its growth potential and just kind of the legacy side of the business, if it was still going to keep going like it had previously. But yeah, it's something I held on to. And now the stock is all the way up at $220 a share. And my average share price is down at $142. So I'm up around 55%, which is really good returns for me. And something I plan on holding long term. Up in the last month as well, so it's helping balance out the downturn of Microsoft. Amazon's also a position I recently invested in. I am up around 6.9%, but I was previously up around 11%. But you can see in the last week it's down 2.88%, and in the last day alone it's down 3.65%. So it's had a bit of a rough day today as the overall market's traded down. Quickly looking at my Vanguard portfolio, as you can see I have two pending orders. So from these two pending orders, I'm going to be buying some shares in VGS, and then I'm going to be buying one share of VLC because I had some extra money sitting aside. So I'm going to be purchasing 6 units of VGS. So that's going to take my total investment into that into around 16,200 would be kind of my guess of the range. And then just basically an extra $80, $82 in VLC. So that will take it over 13,650, give or take. So I did invest $800 today into Vanguard because I wanted to get the portfolio value over 30,000. And especially as stocks have traded down, I can hopefully use this as a good time to buy in and hopefully make some money in the long term. But that's my most recent investment. And I'll go through the Excel spreadsheet soon, just kind of tracking how things have been. But I did want to go through the S&P's tumble, as it says, and its worst week since 2023. So if we have a look through, the S&P 500 dropped Friday, notching its worst week since March 2023, as investors assessed a fallout in a weak August jobs report and ditched leading technology stocks. The broader index slid 1.73% to settle, and whilst the Nasdaq shed 2.55%. So it's been a bit of a rougher week for tech, and again, I'm heavily invested into tech, so my portfolio has definitely felt it, but I am trying to diversify away a little bit and grow my VOO position. So they pretty much are saying that it's a sentiment driven largely by growth concerns, and again, it is around the jobs report. That seems to be a big thing in the market at the moment. And if you look through, the mega cap tech stocks tumbled as investors dumped risk assets amid worries about health of US economy. As it says, Amazon slid 3.7%, Alphabet 4%, and Meta lost 3%, Broadcom shed 10%, and many of the others also fell. So Friday's move closed out a rocky week for equity markets, and the S&P 500 registered a 4.3% decline, its worst week since March 2023. The Nasdaq shed 5.8% for its worst week since 2022, while the 30-stock Dow has slumped 2.9%. Fresh August jobs data added fuel to concerns over a slowing labor market. A bout of weak data has sparkled worries about the health of the economy, spooking investors and markets, denting the risk appetite in recent weeks. Overall, if you're an investor, you've probably seen this a lot. Even the most recent job reports prior to this one also spooked the markets a bit. And it's something I'm aware of, but it's not something I'm going to act on and trade on. I don't see myself as a trader. I'm kind of just investing for a bit more long-term views. But a lot of the speculative stocks got hit really hard. As you can see, Coinbase, for example, down 7.7%, a massive day in the red for them. Down 18% this last week alone. If you go back, you can see Tesla as well, down 8% in the day. So if you're holding any stock that is kind of pricing in a lot of growth, you probably had a really rough week. Where on the other side, no matter where you've been, you're still going to have a down week. And that's when, personally myself, I've tried to use it as time to buy into stocks and grow my positions that I believed in. Hence what I'm doing of the VOO. The reason why I'm not investing more is because I'm still trying to keep a large chunk of money in my savings, because I'm in the process of growing that back up as well. So it's trying to balance both, obviously growing my stock portfolios, but also keeping money set aside for just personal and life everyday savings. So going through my Excel spreadsheet, as you can see here, it obviously hasn't updated to my new recent purchases in my Australian portfolio, but this gives a little bit of an update of how both portfolios are looking, and just gives you kind of a bit of a more general broad of how stocks have been trading up in the recent year or 2 years. Kind of gives, the reason why I like looking at this is because when there's market downturns, and sometimes you can get a bit worried about the short-term side of things, I kind of look at these and I see the long term of how it's been growing month after month after month for years now. Since 2021 is when I started investing. And look at this. Again, a lot of that is obviously deposits, but you also get good growth, because once I go back, I'll show how much I am up in my stake portfolio, which I was previously down 20%, but consistently dollar cost averaging has allowed for bigger dividends, more capital gains, everything like that. So this is kind of going to be a nice little reminder to me to kind of keep a long-term approach. And then when I update this, obviously my Australian share portfolio will jump from 29 to over 30,000. Going back, like I said, if we have a look, I'm up still over $10,000 in my stake portfolio. So whilst these little hits do hurt, especially as the portfolio gets bigger, like you can see, it's down 1.74% today, but it's over $800 and down. So as the portfolio gets bigger, those numbers get bigger, whether it's down or up, and it's just what you have to live with. So I'm trying to kind of accommodate myself back to that. But I'm going to keep doing these portfolio updates. Another 2 shorts coming out today, just kind of updating my thoughts and where I'm putting my money. Today's going to be a bit of a shorter video because there isn't as much to cover, and I'm in a little bit of a rush. But yeah, this is just kind of how things are looking. Still above that $75,000 mark, and I can hopefully hit around 85 or so thousand before the end of the year. But I'll keep tracking those videos, and I'll keep keeping you guys updated. And this channel's been growing a lot. I'm up to 828 subscribers, I think, now. So well on the road to hitting 1,000. So that's the goal. If I could do that before the end of the year, that'd be massive. But I probably haven't been consistent enough in terms of uploads. But I'll try to get back on top of things, and I'll keep doing these videos. Cheers.